you know.
But it's weird. It's especially weird that we're coming to the end of beta now, with the supposed end date of beta being May 31st, and there have been some drastic changes implemented just now.
Yeah,
and
I don't see how that's gonna.
Like, I honestly don't know if we're gonna finish beta May 31st. For phase 1, just for the sense of, like, I feel like their latest changes
are insane.
Have unbalanced things, a little bit. Like, not even unbalanced, because maybe, because who knows? Once we play a little bit more of Starcraft 2 and be like, oh, maybe this works, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
There's always ways to make things work in your favor, but I just don't. It was such the kind of changes that take a little longer than just like a week and a half to really see if they're working. To really get a critical mass of players who understand how to make it work for them, or who are willing to just get off the standard Roach, general build kind of thing and use them.
Like, now I'm totally gonna make myself the bad guy by saying this, but like, for example, with the force field change, like, mark my words, everybody. Watch me be completely wrong.
Mark my
words.
Mark my words. Here's me trying to snipe observers and failing.
Yeah.
That one or two.
But no, I mean, and I could be completely wrong here. That would be funny. And if so, we'll delete this video later. But I totally see this big infantry. They like buffed infantry too, like with stim pack upgrade and something else. I totally see like Terran vs. Protoss being like this huge infantry army coming in, like totally like a Marauder Marine rush with one Thor
to break shields,
to break through the force field that the Protoss players ramp, right? And I don't know whether that's going to be imbalanced or balanced, or what.
It's
but
one of those. I feel like it's one of those tough calls, because the force fields are great early in the game. They're incredible, but the fact once you get to late game, they should become a little bit less effective. The fact that in the past you could block an entire army of ultras indefinitely.
This was kind of funny when this happened in the game.
Indefinitely, for like with 6 sentries, you could block an entire army of ultras indefinitely in a game. So something, I'm glad they're acknowledging that something needed to happen with the force shield. What's it called?
Force field.
Force field. But at the same time, you're right, because your point of a Thor coming in, one Thor coming in to break it. I mean, maybe a better answer would be that these things walk over them, or maybe who knows? Maybe since such a game, there's got to be makes you have to find a better solution than just sentries. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. And granted, I agree with you. Force field was a little bit. Force field was maybe too strong in certain circumstances. So I'm not saying
it's too strong for such a weak unit late game.
It is too strong for like a massable unit. But one thing that I will say though is that I feel like
one second. I like your strategy. I know it's been a while since we played StarCraft 1 or Rusty, but I like the strategy of using the Corsairs, pushing back so I cannot snipe observers, so my lurkers become just ineffective. I have sniped most of your observers, but there's still one on the map.
This is like what I'm talking about in StarCraft 1. There's like all these, because of the way things are layered like that, where you have Corsairs that beat Mutalisks handily, right? You have these layers where, like, lurkers beat stuff, obliterate things, unless you have an observer, right? You have these layers that make it interesting. Like, if you engage me with lurkers, I don't have an observer, I'm dead, right? I don't see that in StarCraft. The only place I see that in StarCraft 2 is Colossuses versus Hydralisks. And number one, I don't see a really good counter to it, except for
there's general counter.
There's the Corruptors, right? But I don't see that in any other match, and I see people complaining about the Colossus.
Well, I mean, there's a little bit, like, on lower level, even down to a Roach versus a Zealot Rush, But I do agree that the thrill of it is lacking a little bit. But at the same time, the thrill of it's lacking, but it's easier to play.
But I mean, at the same time, like it's easier to play, but I think it's gonna be less. It's hard to say this right now, but it could be less amazing to watch amazing players play when you don't have the ability to have 5 Corsairs kill a shit ton of Mutalisks, right? When you don't have the ability for a small group of lurkers to obliterate an army, right?
Well, I mean, technically you have Phoenixes to just do that in some ways. You have Banelings to obliterate, parts of armies if you get them in there.
Yeah, but those things are all dulled. You know what I mean? And like Banelings are similar to lurkers in some ways, but so different from lurkers in that once you use a Baneling, it's gone. It's dead.
Well, I do like the Baneling dynamic a lot. I do still wish they'd. I forget if I said this before. The whole move while burrowed to really bring that back lurk dynamic, but still be different. But no, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's tough to say. It's tough to say, especially because it's still so early. The game is not even out yet, and a style of play hasn't been perfected. But you are right on the spells, and just and just as far as some of the general hard counters to things, I think you're right on as well.
But I mean, at the same time, I think StarCraft 2 is awesome. Like, there's so many things about it that are great.
Yeah, no. Again, it's going back to StarCraft 1 felt mind numbing.
Yeah,
in a way of like it was exciting, but again, even bringing my lurkers who were over here killing your base back to here was so hard.
Yeah,
because I had more than 12 units, and so it was like, okay, I'm selecting a bunch, moving them now. I got to go back and select more and move them, and then it just like.
I think just moving like 3 control groups of units across the map in StarCraft 1 is harder than doing anything in StarCraft 2. It seems like
no, I agree.
Where because then you have the problem where oh no, they hit like a cliff wall halfway through, and now half of them aren't moving anymore.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
And even the things of I set my 3rd or 4th hatchery to build, and it should be built, but now I'm there, and my drone's just sitting there because he got confused somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
And like shit, and you're so far behind then of but I mean, but at the same time. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why our macro looks horrible.
It looks so bad.
Yeah.
We have
6,000
minerals.
That's crazy.
I'm sure mine are the same. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, well, we'll be back with StarCraft 2 episodes, maybe even this week, during the week, too.
And one thing we do want to say to reassure you guys, even though if you even care, is that we're like Guns Akimbo and I are like massively casting games right now, so hopefully we'll have
stuff to hold us over for the end of beta.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyways, send any StarCraft 2 replays to amateurhour@starcraft.org.
All of you, send us all your replays.
Not all of them.
Send us all your replays. We need games to cast.
Yeah, we're going to be casting a bunch this next 2 weeks.
Just send us everything you play.
That's a lot.
It's okay. I'll
Are you
look
watching
them.
them?
I'll look through them.
I'm not watching them.
All right, that's cool. I'll look through. Send us everything.
If you send us everything negative, we'll watch them, and then I'll watch the ones he approves.
All right.
Anyways, GG.
GG.